Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Aaron Danton here, Shield and Buckler Garage. Uh, I just want to throw out some thanks to some of the people who are helping me out on this. Somebody that's been giving me advice, somebody that offered me parts for free, knowing that this is a ministry type thing. Um, just want to make family friendly content that is helpful to people with some of the knowledge that I have. You know what I mean? We're all doing that here on YouTube, aren't we? So, but I'm trying not to do any cussing, anything like that. Just try to keep it about the cars that I'm working on and the message of the gospel of Jesus. I wasn't always a Christian, and some people say, "Oh, I'm not a Christian. I'm a follower of Jesus." Me too. You know what I mean? So, but I wasn't always this way. I was definitely in the world at one point. I used to. I wasn't born. I was saved about 20 years ago. But I was just born again about 6 years ago. Well, I guess it would have been about 21 years ago if it's 6 years since I've been saved, right? And so, but I've always been a car guy. But cars took, a back seat to the family for a lot of years. They're getting a little older. I'm getting a little older. I've been yearning for a hobby. So I got this car. I just wanted to give some background today too, and try to get a clear message out. So I just wanted to say thank you to Chris Herron, Kansas Gold Customs up in Wichita, Kansas. He's been giving me advice about this VQ35DE rev up engine, about block specs, head specs, things like that. He used to work for Z1 Motorsports, but he didn't like the direction they were taking, so he took his own business, went and did his own thing, and I've seen a lot of his cars. He does some nice work. I met him, actually. I live in Enid, Oklahoma, and like I said, he's up in Wichita, Kansas, about an hour from me. But when we met and became friends was in Oak Ridge, Oregon, and that's when I was born again. I told him, I had a message from God, and so and it was kind of strange because he moved, or his wife came back out here, and then I was pushed out here. It was all by God. There's no way that we ended up 1 hour away from each other, all the way from Oak Ridge, Oregon. So I Eugene, Oregon area, and so big shout out to him. He's always been a good friend. He never doubted me. I never doubted him. And then the other day, I was at O'Reilly. I was actually doing a medicine run. My wife had bronchitis, or has it, and so I was going to go get medicines. Well, all of a sudden, I was compelled to pull in the parking lot, and as I pulled in, a guy was backing out, and his car stalled out, and it wouldn't start back up. He was just stuck behind me. So he hopped out and was starting to push it. So I hopped out and helped him push it. And then I asked, what he was needing as he's popping the hood. What does he think he needs? He's like, I don't know. I was like, I think he might need a jump. He was like, well, it was, yeah. So I pulled my car over, gave him a jump. And little did I know, all the guys inside were watching me. So I came walking in, and they were all looking at me. And I just asked, I started doing this ministry. I asked about VQ35DE bearings, and the guy behind the register or the computer goes, which ones? I said, well, connecting rod. And he goes, did you spin it? I was like, well, not me, the guy before me. I bought the car with, knowing it needed work. He said it just needed a timing chain. Turns out, I'm going to post the video right after this video. That it needed more than that, but I don't know. He may or may not have known it. I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt, and I'll show you some of the shoddy things somebody has done in the next video. So so then we started talking, and I really expected him to say, well, what car, and he didn't. He just knew immediately. And bearings are only $17.99 for stock ones. But I figured I was going to need an oversized bearing and probably get this crank turned. And so I was like, started talking to the guy, and he turns out has a G35 as well, and it's up for sale, $6,000. It's a pretty nice G. It's got headlights, pretty fresh engine in it. Third engine. This is his third engine he's put in that G35. And I'm about to show you some of in the next video. You'll see I already made the video, and but I'm going to post it up after this video. Some of the things I found of what people are doing out here. And so I'm pretty certain this was probably what has been happening to him. Three engines in. And so I asked him, I was like, I'm probably going to need a crank. And he goes, well, I have one. I go, well, how much? He goes, well, I'll give it to you. Because they're just two useless boat anchors to him, right? And so I started thinking, because he's selling his VQ because it keeps breaking down on him. Well, he keeps trusting in other people's work. I know myself. I went to school for it way back in the 80s. But, torque specs and reading schematics and wiring diagrams and all that kind of stuff. I've always done that stuff. I was one of the first guys I ever knew that took a non-VTEC Honda back in the 90s and put a VTEC in it. One of the first people I knew that imported a engine directly from Japan even, and put it in a Honda and then told everybody about it. And now it's big business, can't even afford to buy an engine imported from Japan anymore. Not this guy. It used to be so cheap, it was pretty cool to put in an engine into a DE Honda Civic that revved up to like 8,000 RPM, that we just didn't have those here back then. But I've been in the car scene for a long time doing stuff. I used to like Honda Preludes, just do stuff to them, make them a little bit quicker than the next one. That's all you ever had to do back then. And nobody was doing turbos yet. It hadn't really kicked in, and it was pretty cool back in the day. So then Colin, his name is Colin Coffee. He has his G up for sale on Facebook Marketplace. If you want to go look it up, it's 2006 model, G35, Enid, Oklahoma. $6,000. It's clean. He works at O'Reilly Auto Parts. I just wanted to give him the shout out because he offered to just hook me up, and I didn't even have to do anything. He just went off the fact that I was a God-fearing man, and he figured that I would be spreading the gospel as I did all this stuff, which I am, and I will, and I do. So, and I'm a car guy, and so, is there a place for a car guy in heaven? You bet. I've seen things. It's pretty cool. God communicates with me directly at times, so it's pretty neat being truly born again. And the only goal I have is that others are truly born again, and which means you are coming to heaven. But you can turn your back to God, but when you're truly born again, it means you don't. So you won't. I can't remember his YouTube channel. Oh boy. Oh well. But of course, some of the guys who kept me inspired, the Hoonigans. Let's see who else is in there. There's Larry Chen, Hurt, those guys, and of course Ken Block, from way back in the day. Ken Block, I used to watch him because one of my friends was from Ireland back when I was about 18 years old, and he got me into watching rally and being about rally, and so I used to follow that a little bit. And so that was pretty cool back in the day. Euro Tuner magazine got me into looking at R34s before anybody in America really knew what they were, and the whole Nissan lineup. So I've always wanted to have a Skyline, but we'll see where it goes. I got this Infiniti G35 American model, but in Japan there's a Skyline 350 GT, and same thing in Australia, Skyline 350 GT. But they're not high dollar. They're not like an R35. They're not like an R34. They're base model Skylines basically. But a lot of part interchangeability in them. It's pretty cool. let's see. So, yeah, when at one point. I mean, there's nobody too far gone to be saved and born again because I was completely gone at one point. I could feel the flames of hell going up my back at one point. So that was, uh, I was a grower, growing marijuana in Oregon. I hit my head, cracked my skull, broke my neck, and should have fell to the floor dead, but I didn't. I was hanging new lights. It was legal grow, but at the same time, whenever there was excess, I mean, we only needed a few cards. We figured when we maximized out the amount that we could produce out of those plants, and we'd always have excess, and it went somewhere. It didn't just sit around. So, unfortunately, but when I cracked my skull and broke my head, I had a year off, or broke my neck. I had a year off time. God healed me instantly, saved me because I just cried out to him and said, "Oh God, help me," and he did. He did. And then I realized when I put my hand to my forehead, I don't know if you could see in this light, not really, but yeah, right there a little bit, you can see it. It's a little crunchy, crackly. And basically, I said, "Oh no, God, don't let me die. My family needs me." And man, just my immediate family. I didn't realize just how big my family is by adoption and all kinds of stuff like that, which is pretty cool. So it kept me alive because your life literally does flash in front of your eyes. It just does. All of a sudden, your memories are going away, and all of a sudden, they all just snap back, and because everything was getting dimmer and dimmer and further away, and God brought me back. I should have died up there in those rafters hanging those lights, but I did not. And even if I did, I should have been knocked out cold, fell to the floor because I was jumping a gap. It was about 18-inch wide gap, and I didn't. But never lost consciousness, even though my skull was soft when I put my hand up there. It still hurts today. Used to use marijuana for medicinal purposes, but it's hard to talk to church folks when you tell them that you use marijuana to manage your pain, things like that, because a lot of church folks are against it. But I'm not against church folks. So, there's a place for everybody. Then that includes a lot of people that church folks don't think are going to be in heaven. So that's for sure. Let's see. So, yeah, it was about 6 years ago, born again in Oak Ridge, Oregon, praying to God to know the truth. I just wanted to know the truth of him and Jesus. With that year off, I was studying, trying to trace the trails of Tesla, the actual Nikola Tesla, because I wanted to figure out what he had found, how he had found, where he had got information that led him to being able to develop and design wireless energy receiving. Because he had a car that actually ran, it was a full electric car. He was drawing power out of the atmosphere with a little antenna sticking up on top, as some of the reports say. So if you could just draw power off the atmosphere continuously and charge batteries, then you can run your car pretty efficiently because it would always be charging. And so I was like, man, that would be cool. So I was researching that, and then I was wanting to scale it up, and so that people could put these little power receiver generators on the side of their house, and they would get free power. It's a one-time investment. It's not a monthly bill. You won't ever have to, some people literally sit in a hot box during summer months because they're on a fixed income and can't afford electricity, to run their AC. So they sit in their house cooking, and then in the winter they're cold because they can't afford to run their heat, things like that. So I wanted to do that, and that led me to researching megalithic structures and the pyramids, and I realized, because I'd been a carpenter, I switched over from passion and hobby of cars to making money, which was being a carpenter, because I was good at building stuff. So I to read blueprints and things like that. I have skills, a lot of skills, and a comprehension level that allows me to understand things when I study them and understand things quickly. It's a high comprehension level that I have. So I use it, not to its capacity, because this heart in here is different than a lot of folks would imagine being. I don't go studying things that, like all those get rich quick schemes. I don't go studying those things because if they're already teaching people how to do it, they've already made the money. You know what I mean? So it's useless. Got to find the new thing, whatever it is. So, anyways, I figure for power generators, who doesn't want one of those? It's a one-time investment, no moving parts. It was all gas tubes back then. We have solid state today, so which is pretty cool. Even nowadays, computers have solid state hard drives, which is pretty cool instead of the spinning disk. It's all about pathways, magnetic pathways. It's pretty cool. Anyways, so there I was with that year off, and I started realizing that a lot of the history we've been spoon-fed, just lies. And so, because it was impossible when you started looking at and I am the guy that proved it out, and now everybody's running with it. Back in the day, that started pointing out that the pyramids, there was no way that the spoon-fed narrative that we've been given is the truth, because there's no way they had, according to them, with Bronze Age tools, carved these stones, made these boreholes, these cuts. There's just no way. It's all has to be diamond, has to be something harder than the material. And if they're using granite, which is on the Mohs scale, is M-O-H-S, Mohs scale, is a hardness of about 8. You have to use something harder than that, which is like diamond, which is 10, right? And I guess dust would be like 0, right? So, or a sponge would be like 0 or beyond 0. Anyways, so started realizing that, and started praying. I was like, well, if there's somebody who knows the truth, and this is when I was still on the fence. I wasn't like fully sold out for God. I was still not born again. I was just saved. And so I was like, well, if there's somebody who knows the truth, it's going to be God. So I prayed and asked to know the truth, the absolute truth of God and Jesus Christ and everything. And oh boy, howdy. There's a lot of information that comes with that. But it'll knock you to the floor. Then after that, I went. I got a job working at a company in Oregon, an internet service provider, installing on the side of a house. Realized that the head injury had affected some of my math skills, so I wasn't able to do math as well as I used to. Things like that made concentrating hard, completing thoughts hard. So that's why sometimes I'm all over the place when I do these videos, stuff like that. And but a lot of I have just had to relearn, create new pathways, relearn things. So I'm still doing that a little bit on some things. And working for those guys, I don't know if I can tell. It's Emerald Broadband in Eugene, Oregon. It's Raymond Hardman. He's the CEO of the company. Good guy. Was patient with me. Went to work for those guys for a couple years. Was preaching the gospel online. This is how I started on this whole YouTube thing. I never used to be comfortable in front of a camera, but now I just like, whatever. So I get on YouTube after work, and during work, because we'd be riding from job site to job site, and I'd, be explaining scriptures the way that God had showed me that things happened, and through His interpretation. That was 6 years ago, and rather than what man thought they understood. And I used to get death threats for it. Now people have opened up to it. Nowadays they'll just block you You know what I mean? And I'm like, I'm fine with that. You know, if you're pretty steadfast in your interpretation and you don't want to hear what I have to tell you, that's fine. It doesn't, you know, you deal with what you have to deal with in the end, because we all have to go stand in front of, you know, we all know this, right? This body's going to go away at some point, and same with yours, and you're going to see the truth. You know the truth, right? It's inevitable. Um, so, um, so yeah, I used to get death threats, people wanting to fight with me, and I used to be like, you know, I mean, I used to work out. I was a carpenter. I did jujitsu. I'm like, you know, if you want to set the ring up and fly me to wherever you're at, we can arrange it. And so, but yeah, I used to. So I'd get on there, you know, and Christians giving death threats, right, and wanting to fight with me over the fact that they wanted to be right. And I'm like, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter. There's only the truth or a lie. It's just the way it is. So, yeah, and so yeah, I just started doing the whole thing. And I stayed on YouTube doing I didn't start a channel. I mean, not right away. I did it for like 4 years before I started a channel. I would just get on other people's lives and hang on a second. My dogs bark at nothing sometimes. But yeah, so I get on other people's lives and not lives, but in their comment sections, and I comment because I didn't have the confidence yet to get on. I just had never read the Bible, never really went to church, and so I didn't know what they were saying in the pulpits. But I did know from 20 years ago a few things that God had shown me, or Jesus had shown me, because Jesus saved me, right? So, and then yeah, so. And then 2 years ago, I was looking for work. We had moved. I mean, I basically was didn't matter to me what people would tell me. You know, they'd say you can't know God. I'd be like, I do know God. You can't know Jesus. I'm like, I do know Jesus. You can't know these things, but I do. And so, and you know, it's like they're really convincing. Like they want you to believe you can't know God because they don't know God. And I'm like, just because you don't know God don't mean I don't know God. You just don't get it. You know what I'm saying? So didn't bother me because I knew the truth. I mean, I literally just wanted to know the truth. I was tired of the lies. So and that was where I was at 6 years ago. 4 years worth of every spare moment. I mean, my wife is just, she's like, man, can you please just back off, do the family thing? I'm like, you don't understand the importance of this message. Most people would never understand the importance of the message that I have. And so, and I was, you know, whatever. It doesn't, people are who they are, right? But so, I spent 4 years just doing that, and then the last 2 years full time now. So I was working and trying to make a living. 1 year I had off. I was on workman's comp while my head healed, but God had healed me instantly. It was just hard for me to accept it because you just don't see it anymore, you know. But it happened, and I know it did because there was no way that I should have felt to, you know, 10 feet, 13 feet to the floor, but I didn't. So yeah, the last 2 years I've been full-time ministry. I've been trying to go back to work, but every time I get going on work, God kind of puts me right back into the ministry. So I was like, well, I'm just going to go ahead and try to do something from this little shop. I mean, he put me in this house. It's got not a full shop. I mean, it's a good sized garage type shop, but it's separate from the house. So it's a shop. And the alley's right back over there. Yeah, so I thought, well, I can work on cars. I've always, you know, not always, but I mean, I've wanted to start a ministry teaching the home building skills. I used to build tiny homes, food carts. I used to build floating homes on the Columbia River in Portland, Oregon, and all the way up through Scappoose, Oregon, and Washington side too. Jansen Beach, Hayden Island area, a lot of homes in there. So, and my brother, actually, my younger brother, still does. Shout out to Riverbank up there in Portland, Oregon, building floating homes. Pretty cool. Chad, and Dan Riedel. Dan is the owner of the company. Shoot, I forgot. Yeah. Even Mike Patterson up there. He's another great guy. He's an engineer. I was there when he actually used to get phone calls from Microsoft when they were developing the Xbox, and I got some input back in the day on. He asked me what kind of controller I would design, and I showed him an ergonomic design that I would do. Little did I know back then, you know. It's funny, really, when you consider it. You like that Xbox controller? Anyways, it's crazy. But talk about a thumbprint in the world, right? Anyways, so, and including Mike. I mean, Mike was a great engineer. Mike Patterson. He lives down there at Tomahawk Island, and built his house. My dad and I did back in the day. So that's pretty cool. Not completely. We the framer didn't know what he was doing on it because it had some real industrial type engineering, because Mike is an engineer and he was missing points, bearing points and things like that. So Mike was searching for proficient, experienced carpenters that could fix up what the previous contractor had done wrong. So, and we did that as carpenters. So pretty cool. Let's see. But yeah, so I was always kind of rough, but intelligent and maybe a little lazy at times. I didn't need to make $1 billion as long as I was making some money and I could take my family on little vacations and do things like that. I spent my money doing that, and I'm poor consequently. I didn't make investments. I thought the money would keep coming, but it all slowed down, and it's all gone away. And it didn't at first. It bothered me, but now it doesn't, because I know that the purpose of it was to get me where I'm at with ministry. And wanting to teach people how to do all these crazy things I know how to do. Like, it's never bothered me to tear apart something and repurpose it or anything like that. So a donation center is something that I'm striving for, where people can donate building materials and used car, or, not running cars or running cars, doesn't matter. And I could teach. I want to buy a piece of property, put a donation center on it, basically. Keep it based around Christ, and take in donations as a nonprofit organization of building materials. Use whatever building materials we can use to build tiny homes, sell the others that we can't use, and the excess to buy brand new materials to build these tiny homes on this piece of property. Put in power, water, all the utilities. Get everything like a small subdivision of tiny homes, semi-permanent homes. So it'd be like an RV park, but they would build their own homes, and they would have to be within a certain spec. They'd have to look nice, and I would teach them how to do that. They would build their own home out of these building materials. So if they're homeless, they would have a home. And the cars, same thing. Teach people how to maintain, run, rebuild the engines, maintain them. And of course, the property needs to be maintained and kept up. So then it would be lawn care and all that kind of small engine repairs, those kinds of things. So they would gain skills in building, helping each other build their tiny homes and cars. So they could start mechanic shops. They could start siding, framing, roofing, foundation work, and maybe not concrete, but we will probably pour pads for each one. To build it on, nice level concrete pad to build it on, with a nice little driveway coming up to it. And so some flat work, and build small subdivision. around the donation center, and and if you had these little donation centers where people are vocationally learning how to build and work on cars, small engines, lawn care, horticulture, um, they would be a skilled force in every city, major city, metro areas that need it. That's where these are needed, not in the country. Although this town that I live in, Enid, Oklahoma, does have a big homeless population, um, and it's because of, I'm pretty sure one of my friends, his name is Jeremiah, Forgotten Ministries, shout out to him as well, here in Enid, Oklahoma. But he hasn't gone to that level yet that I want to go to, and I was thinking, I'm ready to go talk to him, so I'm going to talk to him about it. So. But yeah, so the last 2 years I've been kind of working toward that, and reading the Bible for the first time, learning the Bible inside and out. I've read a lot of the other stuff out there, Quran, Book of Mormon, the Rig Vedas, the Lost and Removed books. I read about Buddhism, Taoism, the Book of Enoch, the Book of Melchizedek, Jasper, just 6 years. I would probably have a doctorate in if I had done it accredited. But it's not about seeking credit for things. It's about making sure, because when I was born again, I was figured out that being born again means you return to heaven. So at some point I get it right, even if I'm getting it wrong now. So and I believe in God. So and that He'll take care of that and make sure that I do get it right. So yeah, reading the Bible for the first time was an eye opener, because everything God showed me when I prayed for the truth is in there. And I had never read the Bible, so I didn't know. So there's like this thing that happened where I can witness about it, but I didn't know about it. And it's all in the Bible, which is crazy. So, and, Jesus makes a way for all of us. Just, you gotta trust Him. He's the good guy, right? So, yeah. So I just wanted to put this as a prologue to finishing up working on this G35. I'm going to try to always have a verse for you, and I want to be reading from the Bible, but I'll just show you something my wife made, and it's pretty cool. It's back here. And I got t-shirts, and I'm going to be making some new stickers, designing up some new stickers probably today. I don't know, I want to work on the car, but it'll happen. And I want to get with Colin over there, Colin Coffee at O'Reilly Auto Parts. If you're looking for a G and you're on here, he's got it for sale. His G is up for sale for $6,000. He says he's done with the G model, and so he's got 2 engines he don't want, and so I may be having a 3-engine car. No, I'm kidding. I'm not doing that. But I may, offer to build one, and for him and myself at the same time, for him giving me the engine, and he can buy parts. It's kind of a deal. So we get 2 engines, bulletproofed, because I'm not going to cut any corners on it. Because he's had nothing but trouble. He bought a long block, blew the head gaskets on it, spun a bearing on a different long block. It's just nothing but trouble. So I'd like to make sure that he doesn't have those troubles anymore for his kindness. All right, you guys, may God bless. Amen.